Welcome. Wow, what's going on with the camera? I should have checked that before we went live, but here I am in the studio. Welcome to another live stream. Sorry, I was not here last week. It was a long story, not going to go into it tonight. So had fully planned on going live, and then just things got switched up. And yeah, I know I do have a little thing here on camera. Let me take that off camera. We'll save that for later. But thank you so much for joining me live. I am Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios, where we talk about live streaming tech. We talk about live audio now. We talk about studio audio. We're going to talk about some studio audio conversations tonight. In fact, our topic's going to be live audio versus studio audio. We're going to talk a little bit about microphones tonight. We're going to talk about some of the differences. I've had the great privilege now in the last 15 years to be in a recording studio. I'll show you guys some pictures tonight. I'll talk about some of the things that you can do in a studio that's a little bit different when you're not in a studio. We'll talk about the difference between handling audio in a live venue, which I have been doing now for the last 2 years, and have my live console here in the studio with me tonight. And so just thought this would be a good topic, and I will be live next Tuesday. The following 2 Tuesdays, I will be on vacation. I will see if I can post some videos while I'm doing that. I'm going to be flying to Tennessee, and that's happening next Thursday. I will be flying out after I'm live on Tuesday, and we get some things ready. And then the following week, when we get back, it'll be late on Tuesday night, so I'm going to miss that Tuesday. And then we leave for a camping trip, and I don't think I'm back in time, but I will give you guys more information about when I'm going to be live, when I'm not going to be live next Tuesday. But I like to let people know if you're tuning in on this video live, thank you for joining me. I do have chat, subscribe only enabled. That just means that if you are subscribed to the channel, you can chat with us. And if you're new and you chat with us or you want to chat, just hit the subscribe button. And then I think within a minute, you'll be able to chat with the rest of us. So I hope that you guys will take advantage of being a part of the conversation. Let me know if the audio's good. It looks a little low, so let's turn that up just a bit for my vocal. So we are going to be demoing some mics tonight. We're going to talk about the difference between dynamic and condenser microphones. I have put a link in the description tonight of a really good article written by Rode. We're going to be talking about some Rode microphones tonight. I have 2 condensers on my desk, and I'm using a dynamic microphone. I have some other dynamic microphones here as well. So we're just going to talk about audio in those 2 environments. But before we do that, and it's good to see you guys here tonight, let's just say hi in the chat. So let me turn chat on the air here. That's Obi-Wan, as you can see right there. He is making an appearance. So we'll talk to Obi-Wan here in just a minute. But for right now, let's go on here. I want to welcome everybody and say hi. I think Tony was the first person in tonight, followed by, so hi, Tony. Hopefully you're still with me live. It's great to have you. We'll say hi to Grish. He was driving home from the area, driving right by me on his way to Spokane. So hi to Grish. Let's see. Hank reached out to me in the email today asking if I was going to be live, and I emailed him back saying yes. We're going to be live, so it's great to have Hank in here as well. Bert is here. Spooner, Wisconsin, I believe, right? Did I get that right? Thank you for joining me. I think Bert is the right name. It's in your handle, so hopefully that's correct. Let's scroll down here and see if you said anything. Not yet. So let me know if that's your first name, is Bert is correct, and if Spooner, Wisconsin is the right guess. Chris does greet everybody. Joe's in the house. Missed Joe, I think 2 weeks ago in my live stream. I can't remember. I can't keep track, but it seems like Joe, you were not with us last week, which is perfectly fine, but just want to let you know I did miss you. Tony says, what's up, Keith? Well, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Let's go through here. Canine Striker, first time here. Paris, Kentucky in the house. Yeah, and give us your name if you would, because it doesn't look like your name is in your handle. So anyway, Trio, I'm looking forward to a good camera to do video recordings for my grandson football game. So any recommendations? A good camera to do video recordings of my grandson's football game. Well, there's lots of good choices for you, Chio. I would say if it was me, and I'm not just using my iPhone, which in reality, I would use my iPhone going to events like that. Again, I have 3 different lenses to choose from. It's not great in low light, but normal light, this is a really good tool. You also have the cinematic feature if you want to blur the background. A little difficult to work, but if you want a traditional point and shoot type camera, and you want to step up and get something really nice, I would say like if you want to record in 4K, I would get like a used EOS R and a nice maybe lens with that. I think one of the kit lenses is a 24-105 that you can get with an adapter. The EOS R doesn't take the older Canon lenses, so keep that in mind. You want to get something where you could really save a lot of money and buy something like on Marketplace. I love the Canon 5D Mark IV, a little bit heavy, and it is a mirror, which means you look through a mirror to see out the sensor. Mirrorless cameras like I'm using right here, my EOS R, it's a great camera. It's a lot lighter. It does not have a mirror. It has a LED screen inside that you look through or you look at. What I do like about the older DSLRs with the mirror is you're seeing the actual image, and then there's a little button you can push that'll let you see what the lens is really seeing as far as the focus blur, which is really cool. So if you're not going to use a smartphone, which you may already have, then I would get like a nice Canon camera or a Sony camera. There's some new cameras out that Canon's made. The M50 is a great little camera. So I guess that's it. I'm not really like a camera guy. I use Canon lenses and Canon cameras all the time in my studio. I have a Canon 5D Mark III, which is right here. This is my first camera, and like I said, Chio, it's heavy. So these are heavy cameras, but I've got my 50 millimeter L lens. This is a 1.2, which means it has a super wide lens. You can see how wide it is, so you pay for that, and that'll give you the ability to let lots of light in, so then you can get a really cool blurred background. But if you do set it for an aperture of 1.2, your focus area is about that far front to back. So that means if you were focused on my nose at 1.2, my eyes are going to be out of focus. If you focus on my eyes, my nose is going to be slightly out of focus on the tip. So keep that in mind. But just for going and shooting sports, you don't need a camera like this or a lens like this. You can get something that's like f4 or higher, and then that's plenty good enough for being outdoors, but get yourself a good camera. Also, some cameras are full frame and some cameras aren't. Full frame sensors mean that this 50 millimeter lens, when you take a picture, sees the whole 50 millimeters, because the sensor, which this is a mirror image of the sensor in there right now, right in there. And that's a 35 millimeter sensor. So it'll see the whole glass. If you get a less expensive camera, then it'll have what they call like a micro thirds sensor, and that crops the image. So a smaller sensor doesn't see the whole picture. So it's going to take this 50 millimeter and make it more like 85 millimeter. So keep that in mind. And maybe we'll talk cameras one of these nights, but I'm not using this now. I just use it to go shooting. And that's why I had my 50 millimeter on it. I had this with me out of town 2 weeks ago. So still saying hi. So let's see. Cool to have you the whole entire stream tonight. That's amazing. That is all correct. So I said everything right for Bert and his location. Sean is my name. Good to have you with us tonight, Sean. Thank you for sharing your name. Everybody say hi to Sean if you haven't already in the chat. Chris Chio, at least you tried with your pronunciation clarification. Yeah, I did try. Chio has a Canon M50. So, yeah, that's a good camera. But again, if you want to step up, I love the EOS R. The original 6D is okay, but the EOS R will record 4K, and it also has 4K out. So if you ever want to use it to stream, you'll be able to have 4K out, and you'd be able to actually stream at 4K. And then if you bought yourself a cam link from Elgato right here, the cam link, this will adapt the HDMI out of the camera down to a USB 3.0, and you could actually then use OBS and stream 4K using the EOS R, and I've done that here before on the channel. So, okay. So we have said hi to everybody in the chat. Let's clear that. And let's just talk about this here real quick. Put Obi-Wan back on here. In fact, what we're going to do is I'm going to turn the key off the air. Let's see, chat off. Skycam. Where is it? Skycam off. And let's just change to Super Source here. And there you go. So I'll be in this side camera. I think if I turn, oh, that's the wrong way, but I'm going to point over there. So this is a camera on right now. So you can see Obi-Wan. Let's change the light setup here. You can see Obi-Wan here. I like to add, I like to add these figures for my shelves. I have Johnny Depp's Dead Men Tell No Tales, Jack Sparrow. I have the Robert Pattinson Batman 2000, I believe, or 2020, I think, on my shelf. We also have a Miles Morales on order with Dominic and I, as well as he has another Miles Morales at his house. The reason I got these 1/6 scale figures is I am developing a channel with my grandson, Dominic, who is now a junior in high school, and he's actually doing some Head Start type college right now, which is really cool. I will be picking him up tomorrow from his college classes and bringing him home in the morning, which will be really fun. So we shot a video of Obi-Wan-Kenobi from the Disney series. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. It's a great series if you like the character of Obi-Wan-Kenobi, which I always have kind of liked Obi-Wan-Kenobi all the way since the very first Star Wars movie, which is really episode 4. And the really cool thing about this is he does fight Darth Vader in the series. I won't give you the spoiler, but people that love those two fighting like they did in episode 4, then this is a really cool scene. And this particular Obi-Wan, I'll rotate him here right now. He has the ability to levitate these rocks, and you can see they're actually on a plastic rack back there. But from the front, it looks pretty stinking cool. So I'm adding that to the studio, and Obi-Wan Kenobi will now be with us. These 3 figures are going to stay here, and then the other 2 figures are going to be at Dominic's house, and then we have another 3rd figure that we have coming pretty soon, and that will stay at Dominic's house as well. And then occasionally we'll bring them together when we're doing a demo of all these things. So we have another channel. It is launched, but I don't have any videos on there yet. We are going to be editing a bunch of videos together. So that's my story about Obi-Wan. So I said last week that Obi-Wan-Kenobi would be visiting us. So now you know what I was talking about when I said Obi-Wan would be with us here in the studio. So let's change the light back to the normal way. And cool. Let's see. Anybody else come in while we were chatting? Nope, I don't see anybody. So let's dive in tonight. So let's do this first. I thought it would be really cool to, let's do this right here. Let me do an introduction to tonight's topic. So this SM7B is a dynamic microphone, so it does not need phantom power. And we're going to talk about the difference between a dynamic microphone, and then I have two condensers here. So this is my Rode NT3, and this is my Rode NT-G3. So this is a shotgun microphone. This is a pencil kind of medium-sized condenser. And this has the ability to get phantom power from the battery. And I put a fresh battery in it tonight. So it does have a battery in here. So if you don't have a device that has phantom power, or you just have a small little analog console that doesn't have phantom power built in, you could use this kind of condenser. Now we're going to look at an article here just to start things off today, because one of the things I want to talk about in recording live or doing live events compared to an in-studio event, I want to talk about why you might choose these different microphones for different situations, and why you would do that. Also, some of the nuances between a studio setting like this or a studio like I had before. And for those of you that have never been on the channel before, let me just throw up a quick picture here to give you perspective. Which one do I want to use here? Move this. This is my old recording studio. So that is the main recording room. Here's one of my son's good friends, Joe, is on the drums. You can see we have it mic'd up and we are recording him. Here's a shot of two very close friends of mine, Bryson Foster with a hat, great producer. He is a spoken word rap artist, singer, songwriter, producer, great guy. And then that's Lindsay. I've known Lindsay since about 1994. She's all grown up now. This is about 12, 13, 15 years, probably about 15 years ago. So that is in the control room. Here you have a artist. He was just featured on K-Love recently, Evan Egger. And my producer, that's the back of my producer, Jason Vorbagel, from my old studio. So we had a vocal booth in that studio, different ways to isolate sound in that vocal studio. Here's a look into it from the control room. So you could also take these isolation panels into the main studio if you so desired. And you can see around the wall there is acoustic panels. We have just foam inside the vocal booth. But the studio, as you can see here, was actually treated. It wasn't a big room. This is actually a converted garage. So the control room was part of the garage and also part of a den in my house. And where you see the drums right there in the floor, that literally was my garage. And most of the space where they're sitting was in the garage as well. And then behind Lindsay is more of where my den was. So her back is about where the wall used to be before we tore everything apart. And here you can see a Neumann U87 microphone that we used all the time in the studio. It is a great microphone. So here it is upside down in the studio. This is actually not a Neumann. That is the 4040, I believe. So with that said, recording inside a studio, like this right here in the control room, he's just practicing some riffs. He's plugged in directly to the board. You could record right from the control room if you wanted to, or you could literally move the artist into the main room. But being inside the studio is completely different than being outside. Here's my good friend Fraser Rombach playing up north of Spokane. That's actually in Ione, Washington. Here is Evan Egger in a tent event that I held. So him being outdoors and how we would work with the sound, and then being inside the studio, those things are completely different. Now, I just threw those up on the screen right on top of me just to give you some ideas that those two environments are entirely different. So right now in the chat, if you've ever recorded anything besides maybe a podcast, if you've actually recorded someone on guitar or keyboard or drums, if you've done that inside or outside, let me know in the chat. So actually, I should do a quick poll here. So let's go ahead and set up a poll here real quick. Let me bring this over. I think this would be a good question to ask tonight. Have you ever recorded an artist live or in a studio? And let's see if I can get this, start the poll. Cool. So if you guys would take a minute and answer that poll, that would help me immensely as we go forward. So have you ever recorded an artist live or in a studio? And we're going to talk about the difference between live audio tonight and studio audio. So let's talk microphones first, like I alluded to. And so there is a link in the description. You guys can read this on your own, but let's us read it together. Let me pull this over. Let's see, I can't do that because it will be lost. So let me fix this. So to get an idea of the advantages of a dynamic mic, it's useful to understand how they work. Dynamic microphones contain a thin diaphragm that is attached to a coil of wire suspended in a magnetic field. As the sound waves hit the diaphragm, it vibrates the attached coil, which then interacts with the magnetic field and creates an electrical current, which is actually what you're going to hear when you use a dynamic microphone. And again, this is the dynamic microphone. We'll open this up right here. And I also have these. I have 3 of these. This is the Audio Technica. Let me hold this on the screen. It is a cardio dynamic, and we'll talk about patterns later in the video tonight, but this is an ATM 510. This is a dynamic microphone as well. And some of these microphones, let's see if I can do it with this one. I can actually pull it apart. And kind of show you guys on camera. I have to get off camera for this because the way I have the focus set. So let's see, can I change camera angles here? No. But anyway, I'll try to keep this in focus. So they're all different angles and different patterns. And again, the patterns are how it picks up. This is a cardioid, and those are just names for different types of patterns of how it picks up, how much it picks up from the side, how sensitive it is. And again, dynamic microphones are exactly what Rode is saying they are here. Again, they have that magnetic field, they have the diaphragm, and it's attached to a coil of wires suspended in a magnetic field, and then hit with the voice creates a surge of electric current, and that is what is translated into audio. Dynamic mics are less sensitive than condenser mic by design, so will usually require you to be right up close to the mic to get the best possible sound. And that's why when I'm using my SM7B, you really want to have it within 5 inches of your mouth to get the best sound out of it. Then you got to make sure you have all the gain structure set right. So, and they generally need more gain to reach similar levels to their condenser counterparts. In fact, this SM7B right now, if I click on it, I'm using 55 dB of gain in the preamp to get this to sound the way it's sounding right now. And you have to have a device or an interface that will let you do 55 dB of gain. And a lot of people have to use what they call a cloud lifter. So it's a device you plug in the line. So you would just take the XLR microphone and you would plug in a cloud lifter, which is a small device. Let me grab it real quick. Change microphones so you guys can hear me. Oh, sorry about that. This is the cloud lifter right there. And what you do is you plug the mic into it and you come out into your board, you send phantom power to this device, and then it comes out to your microphone and it boosts the gain. So this creates a gain boost. So if you have a console that doesn't have 55 or 56 or 57, depending on how much gain you want, this sounds better than better as you push the gain. So the further you are away, the more gain you can use. But if your board won't give you that much gain, you need a cloud lifter like this. So basically, the phantom power goes into this device, even though this microphone does not need phantom power. And that's 48 volts of phantom power. And lots of consoles, including my Rodecaster Pro 2 and my Studio Live 32 SC, which is behind me on the desk, they both have the ability to turn 48 volts of phantom power on or off. And there is another type of microphone, more than just one, but there's ribbon microphones as well. And those, you got to be very careful that you don't hit them with 48 volts of phantom power, because you could break the ribbons, and that's a little bit different type microphone. But tonight we're going to talk about dynamic and condenser microphones. So this is a dynamic, not a condenser. This is a dynamic and not a condenser. And so let's go back into our article here, and thank you, Rode, for this great article. So it says you need to be 2 or 6 inches from the diaphragm, and they generally need more gain to reach similar levels to their condenser counterparts. The lower sensitivity means that they are excellent at isolating your voice while rejecting background noise, such as air conditioners, keyboard noise, and mouse clicks. So obviously, using a dynamic microphone like this or like this is better for a setting where there's noise going on. So if you don't isolate the room that you're in, or quiet on the set, right? No air conditioners on, no cars going by. If you have a condenser microphone, they're more sensitive, and these dynamic microphones are less sensitive, and they have different patterns for what direction do you want them to pick up from. So again, so why is that important? Well, inside recording, you can isolate things. So for instance, let's do this. Go over here real quick. In that studio, you can see Joe playing the drums, and he's the only one in that room. I'm actually on the other side of this glass. So I'm in the control room. Here's the control room looking right to Bryson's forward. If he looked straight forward, he'd be looking right through those panes of glass, and he would be looking in to where the drums are. And you could also put someone in the vocal booth. There's a look out in the studio. You can see how thick the walls were in my studio. Those are 12-inch thick walls. So my family could be down this hallway making noise, and it would not go into the recording room, and it would not go into my control room. And I also had a door right there at where the camera is that I could shut as well. And then here's a look back into the booth. It had a door as well that could be closed. And here's the inside of the booth with the door closed. And again, most of that room had foam on it, so it really causes all the noise to be both controlled inside of it, and then we would be quiet inside the control room while we were recording vocals. So obviously I'm recording, I don't have any speakers on, and when the take was over, I could turn the speakers on and play back the recording. And then you could also use an isolation device like this to be able to isolate some of the sound. So what's behind that microphone? So let's say I had a keyboard player in the studio. He was going to be on the other side of that foam device. Then that foam would cut down on the vocal mics going over to the keyboard player, as well as it does create a barrier for the keyboard sounds going to that microphone. So pretty important to know what you can control in a studio. And so I even had foam on the ceiling above the drums, because again, the cymbals and all that stuff would bounce off the ceiling and right back into the microphone. Even though that is a similar microphone to this, it's a pencil condenser. And so it mainly picks up sound from here and not off the wall behind it. But I had the foam up there because that ceiling in that garage, by the time we made the floor 12 inches thick, it had 2x6 trusses up there. And then I added more. I think it was, actually, I think that was 10 inches thick with double sheetrock, hat channel, crazy. So this is a condenser, and you can use these condensers inside a controlled environment like that. And you really don't need to use the filters on it, but we did it because I liked how it softened the cymbal sound. And so with it on, it had a different sound than with it off, and that's why I had that pop screen on it, because it actually makes a difference. So now let's go back over here. And let's read about the condenser. Condenser microphones feature a capsule that contains a diaphragm placed very close to an electrical charge backplate. Sound waves hitting the diaphragm causes it to vibrate, creating changes in the capacitance between it and the plate, resulting in an electrical signal that is then amplified by an internal preamp. Thus, you need to send phantom power to it. The preamp and sometimes the backplate require power to operate, which is provided either by batteries. And again, this one has a battery in it, and you can turn it on right here, and the red light comes on, and now I'm sending it phantom power, and we'll demo this mic here in just a minute. So phantom power from a mixer, external preamp, or audio interface, or a computer's USB port. So you can even have a condenser microphone as a USB mic. and use the power from your USB-C powered port to power the microphone, which is new technology. Now that we have powered USB ports, we can actually have USB microphones that are both microphones, plus they can have a condenser capsule in those. So this one I can screw off. And again, this is a condenser microphone, and it's a little different looking. As you can see, the plate's right back here. You can actually, let's go to this shot. You can actually almost see the plate back in here behind that capsule. That's the capsule. This has actually got a foam windscreen in it. Inside of there, which helps cut down the plosives, the popping, and that goes right in between there. And if you don't get that on there right, pull it out of here, get it right, because it's supposed to fill the whole inside. It also cuts down all the way around, and sometimes when I have this out to show people, I don't get that in there correctly. So we're going to take it off, put it all the way on, and then I will put this back on and screw it back on, because it will change the sound if I don't get this back together correctly. So now you have a pop filter inside it all the way around. It's one of the reasons I really like this microphone. And if you want a brighter sound, you can take that out. So you can actually change the sound of this Rode NT3 if you want to, but it does have phantom power built in, or you can just send phantom power to it from the board. So what does this condenser microphone sound like compared to this one? Let's do an A/B comparison. I'm going to plug it in. Check. 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 Testing. This is this microphone. So this is the NT3. And then we'll compare it to this microphone right here. SM7B, which is a dynamic microphone. And I'll put them about the same distance away this time. So there you are talking into that microphone, which is the SM7B. And now I'm talking into the NT3. So you decide if you like the sound of it or you don't like the sound of it. But again, that microphone is a condenser. So got a condenser microphone next to a dynamic microphone. And I would use this mostly probably inside a controlled studio. Though I could, if I wanted to, take it outside. Just have to understand it's going to be super sensitive. And if I needed something like that, like I needed to be further away from someone, and I wanted to use this like a boom mic, I could. These microphones can work as boom mics, but they're not as effective as a traditional shotgun microphone. So let's try this one. So we'll mute that. Turn the phantom power off of the NT3. Now this is the NTG, as in great 3. And this is very sensitive when you hold it. So I'm going to try to hold it very still. Testing 1, 2. So side by side. This is more used for like a boom mic. And I'll show you my blimp here in just a second. This goes inside of it, but now you're hearing the NTG3, and that is a condenser microphone. It does not have a battery built into it, so I actually have to have phantom power turned on inside my Rodecaster Pro 2. So that's the NT3. I am back to my SM7B right here. So those are condenser microphones. And now just to give you a sample of what This Audio-Technica sounds like, let me turn fan and power off in the board. Test, test, test. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. So this is the Audio-Technica, and again, the model number of this is ATM 510. And you guys should be getting that audio. It's not quite as hot as the pencil condenser was. And I'll bring this back on again. I want to double check the gain to make sure I had really good gain on this. So that's the Audio-Technica you're listening to right now. Back to the SM7B, and let's plug this back on here and just double check the gain here. Phantom power on. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. It's a little hot. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. This is actually a little bit better gain on the NTG3, and I can actually hear what you guys hear by putting the headphones on. So this is the NTG3, and this is designed to reach out and grab people. Not like literally grab them, but normally you would use this microphone on a boom pole, and you could do it indoors. You wouldn't need any kind of coverage. You could put the foam screen on it. So let's do this real quick. Turn the SM7B back on, and we'll put the foam screen on it. So inside you would probably do this. And why I have it sitting down, recording outside. Now this would probably be more like if you're doing a video, you probably wouldn't use a microphone like this as a vocal mic, but you could. A lot of people will use these on a boom pole for reporting, but usually not singing, but you can sing. You'll see these a lot on American Idol. When they're in the audition room, they'll have a boom mic like this above them. And so outside, you would use something like this Rode blimp. Now, normally it has a power cable that comes out right here and then down into this handle, and then you plug your mic cord right there and the boom pole in right there. But I've adopted this to be wireless. So I have a wireless adapter I plug on here, and that will screw right inside the blimp. So I'll let you guys see inside. And this is designed to cut down all the wind noise. And you can see the holder in there with rubber bands. And that's what the condenser shotgun microphone goes on. And then you just close the blimp. And that would be like normal day outside, not heavy winds or any wind at all. If you start getting wind and you're going to do a recording event outside, you can still, again, like if you wanted reference audio for a band and you wanted to lip sync them later, this would be a perfect tool to be using to capture the vocals as they sing to the music in the background. Then you could use the live vocal with the album to sync everything up and then replace the live vocal with the recorded vocal. I've done that before, and I've used a shotgun microphone like this. But to cut down the wind, then you would put what we call a dead cat on it. And again, this is the stuff you need to kind of think about if you're going to get out of the studio where you have sound panels and or a recording environment where you got it sound down. In a studio, you're going to treat the whole room, and it's always treated, and then you record where you want to record. But this dead cat will slide over here, and Then it has a pull zip thing on the bottom, which I have cut off. So the wind then hits this material and it doesn't get into the sound. So you still get audio inside the blimp. And this cuts down all of that wind noise that you would normally get outdoors. And so Rode makes this blimp. They also sell this dead cat material. This needs to be restrung because the pull cord broke. And then that tightens up this area down here as well. Or you could just put rubber bands around it really quick. Now, one of the things that I have noticed recording inside and outside is typically both in an outdoor setting and an indoor setting, you're probably going to use a set of condenser pencil condensers like this as overheads over the drums. And these have windscreens as well. So outside, I would put the windscreens on to cut down any wind that would blow above the drums and maybe cut off as much of the low frequencies as I possibly can, and mainly use these for the cymbals. Some people want to pick up the toms as well, but you would put 2 of these as overheads, and you could do that inside or outside if you wanted to. So overhead microphones, you could have them in stereo patterns and then stereo them. These are condenser microphones, so we'll plug one of these in. Again, another option for condensers, and a lot of times I use these outside. So, but again, they're isolated on the drums, and if the drummer has a cage, that's even better because that'll stop any sound outside of the drum cage bleeding out. But it can change the sound on the condenser going inside. So let's look at channel 4, phantom power, check, check, check. That looks good. So now you're hearing me on this small pencil condenser. Again, this is a lot less expensive. These are about $100 a piece. And again, the model number, these are Personases. They are PM-2s. So pretty good set for $200 for just drum overheads. And I just use my drum overheads to fill in the choruses and things like that. A lot of times I will mute them during the softer parts of the song. So if he is riding the cymbals, it doesn't just destroy the live music. But again, 2 of these overhead, and they are condenser microphones, so they do need phantom power. And this is what it sounds like if you turn phantom power off. Phantom power on. So it takes a second or so to send the power and ignite the microphone. So this is a pencil condenser. Now we're back to the SM7B. We're going to unplug this and we'll talk about another microphone. These have always been very tight. And these kits come with mounts and adapters. Putting stuff away. These are actually going to a tent event I'm not going to be at next week. So I got these out because I'm loaning the set to my buddy. Now, this is a Beta 57. The SM57 is a very famous dynamic microphone used to record amps. And again, here's a shot of my studio. where you can see the amp cabinets. So I had 3 amps in my studio, and we would put one of these SM7Bs. Betas are a little different sounding. They're more money than a SM57. It's not made out of plastic. It's got the metal screen. And so if I'm going to put this on a snare, which is what I normally do, I will put this on a snare drum in the studio or outside of the studio. Again, because it doesn't pick up a lot of sound around it. Has a little different sound, a little different gain structure as the SM7B. This is the Beta 57A. And I like the Beta mics a lot. Here's the sound of this Beta. Check. Bringing the gain up so you guys can really get a chance to see. So this takes about 38 dB of gain, 55, 38. So you can see the difference. These two microphones side by side. So this is the Shure Beta 57A, and this is the Shure SM7B. And again, it needs a lot more gain. And just making sure, yeah, you guys are hearing me. So SM7B by Shure, and this is the Shure Beta 57A. I do not have a SM7B. No, I have the SM7B. I do not have the Beta 57. I don't own one of those. I only own this Beta 58. So let's turn that back off. So we'll shut that off. So now this is a great microphone for inside, outside, on amps in the studio, on amps outside of the studio. And again, you don't put normally a condenser microphone ever outdoors on a amplifier, because it's just going to pick up all the other noise, especially if there's another bass amp close by it. So you'd want to put this, and you just line it up where you want on the amp to get the sound you want. I've done that to get the amp sound in the studio. Now you can buy pedal boards that have professionally modeled amps. You don't have to use a microphone and record an amp to get the amp sound. You can just use the presets. And maybe when Christopher brings his Fractal one of these Tuesday nights, I'll show you what a Fractal can do. It can sound like hundreds of different amplifiers and has hundreds of effects, all in a floor mount guitar pedal. And it's incredible. They're not cheap, but my son, Christopher, who plays lead guitar as well as he plays acoustic guitar and plays drums, he has a Fractal and a volume pedal and another Fractal device. So pretty incredible. So the last thing I wanted to say about microphones is that there's even special microphones for drums. And this is a dynamic microphone, cardio pole pattern. This is the Shure PGA 52. Again, this is for kick drums, so it's not going to sound great on my voice. Check. Check. You normally would not set the gain this high because it's going to go inside the kick drum. So there's a sound of what that sounds on a voice. But again, this is designed to go on a kick drum. It's designed to take a lot of pressure, and a lot of manufacturers make these, and you stick this inside. Some people have actually put these just outside the drum hole, but the drum hole breathes a lot of air, and so you're better to put this in and aim it towards the thump. They even one manufacturer makes a mic like this that has 2 cables coming out of it. One is a condenser for catching some of the real warmth and richness of inside that drum. and you can mix that together with a dynamic mic, and they're all in one. I had one of those in my studio, so it'd take a special cable that plugged in, and then it's separated out into two cables. One of them you sent phantom power because it was a condenser capsule built in, and the other one was dynamic, and you didn't send phantom power. But the cool thing about that microphone, and I don't know if I can take this off, I can. And you can see, now the one that I had two capsules in it. One was condenser and one was dynamic in the same kick drum microphone. And that was really good in a recording studio where you wanted to get different sounds of the kick. So like some rap music, you really wanted the pop and other stuff like that. You could use that microphone, but I just use the Shure now. And there it is. You've seen it right here in the studio. Okay, we'll put that back in the bag. And then also, almost done with microphones here. You can see I have a lot. And then this is the Beta 58. And this is a favorite dynamic microphone of mine as well. See if I can unscrew this. I know I can't get it off. But again, it is a dynamic microphone. A lot of people use this mic on vocals. So I had a friend that's a professional singer and recorded in LA a number of albums. Incredible singer, and he loved this microphone. Check, check, check. So this is the Beta 58. And again, a great vocal mic. There's people that actually do their live streams with one of these microphones. Again, it is a great sounding microphone, and most singers are going to be right in it like that. So again, it's a great handheld microphone. They make a wireless version of this microphone, so you decide. So, okay. Enough on all the different microphones. You can see that there is a difference in how they are created and what they're created for, and there's lots of different shapes, right, and sizes of microphones. So you can see, and I'm only holding, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 microphones I've had out on the desk. And then, you know, you have other tools besides just this to control the sound. You also have what we call pop filters. So I could put this right here, and then I could talk directly into the microphone, and this is designed to move the air away from the sensor. So I could take this pop filter off and just use a filter like this. Now this is a Stedman, and it is specially designed with tiny holes to move the air away from directly. So if I pop into that, it's actually supposed to cut down on the plosives, Peter Piper, pickled peppers, Silly Sally, mainly plosives, pops. Here's without it, Peter Piper pecked a peck of pickled peppers, Peter Piper pecked a peck of pickled peppers. So again, and there's different varieties of that as well. This one right here came with my AKG microphones that I've sold. It actually says AKG right on it. And this is a pop filter as well. And it's like a fabric. And then this is a dual layer, and it's actually breaking. It's old. It's been in a drawer. I don't use these anymore, but I've kept them here for training purposes. So this is 2 layers. So you could pull this out for someone that's just really, really can't keep them talking away from the microphone at an angle. And so you'd pull this out in that recording session to try to cut down on killing that recording because they're popping in the microphone. So what does this all have to do with recording in a studio and outside. Well, when you're recording, you're going to use some type of microphone. So to have a basic understanding of the difference between a dynamic microphone and a condenser microphone, right? And that's not the only thing that a condenser looks like. A condenser also can look like this shotgun microphone. Again, this is designed with ribs, and the ribs cut down on sound coming from the side. This will pick up audio from directly behind and kind of right around here. But this is designed to be on a boom pole to try to be about 4 feet off camera, picking up my voice. In fact, this gets mounted right up here, and it's always in my studio mounted right here, and you can't see it. And I can use this if I'm doing a consultation, and I don't want to use this Rode Wireless Go 2 microphone that I have on. I just want to have this on and not have this in my face. Then I can mount it right up here. So when you're recording with these different microphones, you make the choice based on what is going on in the room. There's construction going on outside. You probably won't want to do an interview with a condenser microphone because you're going to probably pick up the construction. But you might be able to get away with a dynamic microphone. And then if you really need to cut down echo and floor sounds, or even at an outdoor recording, right? You could grab something like a regular blanket that people use for moving. You could take a blanket just like this. This is just a regular moving blanket. I have one of these hanging up in my studio behind my desk to cut down on all of the reflections off of that wall. So it really helps the audio in here, makes me sound way better than when it wasn't there. And I've thrown these on the floor in interviews. I've thrown these over chairs off camera in interviews. I've hung these on mic stands just like this. So 2 mic stands 3 or 4 feet away from each other, and I'll hang this on that. I've used poles, auto poles like I have hanging up there, to put blankets on. This is just another way to control sound when you're outside of a recording studio, or you could even hang these inside your recording studio. So again, this is a full-size blanket. I have 4 of these, 5 of these that I take with me when I'm doing video production, because you never know. I might even use this to cover a window and use it to cover the light from a window as well as a sound barrier. So now you can use these new fangled kits, Wireless Go 2, the Wireless Go Pro. These have a receiver, so you can go wireless. You can use these inside or outside. You have a transmitter that you put on yourself. It has a clip. You can also buy magnets. I bought the magnets. They don't come with the magnets. I have one of these on right now. These kind of use a wireless technology that competes with phones. These are not good at big conferences, and they have to be in pretty well direct line of sight. But what if you don't want to go direct line of sight? Then you're not going to use like a 2.4 gigahertz wireless system like this. Now, this is the Deity system. And I could use this in an interview. This is my Deity system, and it comes with mics and a receiver that will do 2 microphones. So you literally have 2 XLR cables that come out of the back of this. So I could do an interview with something like this as well. There's an adapter that goes from this small jack to a XLR on one side. So you could use something like this for recording. Again, it's using the 2.4 gigahertz wireless spectrum, or you can spend more money. I don't have it in here with me, but I do have a Audio-Technica handheld, and it's using the higher end frequencies where you'll get less interference. But again, you always can get interference with wireless microphones. And like I said, I have a wireless transmitter and wireless receiver that I can just plug in the back of a board and plug in the back of my pencil condenser microphone. In fact, when I go outside for a video shoot, I have a portable device right here that picks up to 4 microphones. This is a sound device, MixPre 6. So it has 4 XLRs, but can do up to 6 inputs using a stereo input. And I have it in a bag. I can put it over my shoulder. And then you have 2 XLR 1/4 inch on this side, and then 2 XLR inputs on this side. And again, Sound Devices has very good quality audio. You can put a power cable in this, or you could actually add a battery pack to the bottom of this. And so a really great device for going remote and portable. So there's the battery pack right here, and there's no batteries in it, but this will literally take 8 batteries. It has 2 compartments. There's a compartment for 4 batteries, and then the bottom has a compartment. So I also have an adapter that will take different batteries, and they mount to the side of it. So again, this is a portable recording device. So if I just needed to go record vocals somewhere, an acoustic guitar and a keyboard, I could do a stereo keyboard through this, and acoustic guitar and a vocal right through this device. And so it is another great tool for going outdoors and recording. Most people are used to big soundboards, and obviously I have my soundboard behind me. Let me switch up the camera angle here real quick. Got so much junk on the table now. Not really junk, it's expensive junk. Okay, let me get the camera fired up here real quick. Okay, let me go back into SuperSource here real quick. Fix one. So I also have my PreSonus 32SC. That's 32 channels of audio. It has phantom power built in as well. You can use this device in a recording studio as well. I had a PreSonus board in my recording studio. I think if I drop this picture on top of everything, you can see my Studio Live 24/4. I have that exact same board I've been running on Sunday nights. I just retired myself from that job, but I have 2 guys I've trained on that console. I used it in my studio. It's basically an older version of what I'm using now in my live events. But that device right there, and my chair is a little bit in the way, that's 32 channels. So you can use that in the studio. It has monitor out, so you can turn the monitors on for a control room. Then you could send the main right and left into the recording room. You could use one of the auxes to go in the vocal booth. And you could have up to 8 stereo headphones available for your talent with this board. So that would be in studio. So this board can go in the studio and outside the studio for recording. So let's pause here for a minute and let's just see if you guys have any questions or thoughts on live audio. So let's see. Let's just catch up here in the chat. Let's go back to me and logo chat on the air. Yeah, that was actually not a Pearl kit. What is it? Let's pop that on the screen and answer that. This is a Yamaha custom kit. I sold that to a guy in Montana, a personal friend of a guy who recorded in my studio. So when I got rid of my studio, I sold that drum set to him. But yeah, it's a pretty nice drum set. Cool audio setup. Tony said he started with a AT4040. A lot of rappers love that microphone. It is a condenser microphone. Years ago, switched to a RE320 dynamic. The RE320 is a famous studio microphone for radio. Also used for voiceovers. Great microphone. The AT4040 is great mic, but the RE320 works better for me in the studio. Yeah, and I remember, if I remember right, I think it's a dynamic microphone. Is it not? Or is it a condenser? I can't remember. Elgato Wave 3 is a condenser microphone. Yeah. So you could buy the Elgato Wave 3, and it will use phantom power from the PC, I believe is what Chio is saying. The NT3 has a deader sound than the SM7B. Are the effects the same for both mics? I have this microphone set one way in channel 4 in processing under advance. Yeah, I had different settings in channel 4, so it wasn't a side-by-side perfect comparison there, and I apologize for that. So they definitely would sound different, and it might have been deader. The SMB sounds muffled compared to the rest. Okay. So I might just not have the settings right on this right now. I'll have to go through there. It's good to have you, Akil. Is that a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids prop mic? Yeah. Cute. The PreSonus mic sounds pretty good. Yeah, it's gotten really good reviews. My sound guy friend, recording artist, singer, does installs for a local company called Ted Brown, where I bought all of my my equipment before I bought some of the used stuff this year. But last year, when I bought all of that equipment, the PreSonus board, the 16.8 digital snake, the stands, the 2 Yamaha 15-inch speakers, my 3 original 12-inch monitors. Now I have 4 of those Yamaha monitors. All of that was bought from Jeremy Voss from Ted Brown, and he really likes the 2 pencil condensers PreSonus PG2s. Recommends them to churches because he does a lot of installs in churches around the Northwest. They also do concert venues and a bunch of other installs, but more than anything, they do church installs, and he does those microphones a lot of times for churches. So they seem to be working really well. Again, having a cage is really helpful to cut down on some of the bleed because they are condenser microphones. And so if you do have any live amps on the stage or using floor monitors, it is really good to try to keep those microphones behind plexiglass if you can, only picking up the drums. GBP says, Keith, your SM7B sounds thin next to the Beta 57. Do you roll off your low end on the SM7B? Your speaking voice sounds way better with low end. It may be because your head is away from the mic. Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody's critiquing my SM7B. I get a little bit of a hum from my Rodecaster, from my A10 Mini Extreme. And so I have in the audio settings, I do have, let's see, what do I have? Yeah. Oh, he does this to me all the time here. Yeah. So I'll have to play with it at a different time. But definitely using your guys' input to make some changes for my next live stream. What is the difference between the Beta 58 and the SM58? The SM58 is like just a less, let's just look it up. Rather than me vamping, trying to find a real quick article here, Tony. Here's a side-by-side comparison. Let's take your chat off the air here. The Shure SM58 versus the Beta 58, a side-by-side comparison. Shure has long been a household name in the industry. Two of their most popular models, the Shure SM58 and the Shure Beta 58, are often a subject of debate. Both mics are known for their durability, sound quality, and versatility, but there are subtle differences that might make one more suitable for certain applications than the other. In this article, we'll take a closer look at both mic comparisons. So this is a great article. I'm just going to copy this and put it in the chat right now. So Shure SM58, the SM58 is renowned for its rugged construction with a spherical steel mesh, grill, and robust handle. This microphone withstands the rigors of busy work. The polar pattern, Shure Beta 58. The Beta 58, on the other hand, has a super cardioid polar pattern, and the SM58 has the cardioid polar pattern. So they have a little bit different cardioid pattern. Frequency response, Shure SM58 has a frequency response at 50 hertz to 15 hertz. It's tailored for vocals with a brighter mid-range and bass roll-off. The presence boost helps vocals stand out in the mix. Shure Beta 58. The Beta 58 offers a frequency response between 50 hertz and 16 hertz, almost identical. It also has a presence boost, but extends slightly higher in the frequency range for a bit more clarity and crispness to the vocals. So there are some major differences. And again, what's happening, Tony, is Shure is just giving us options. Some microphones sound better on one vocal than the other vocal. So if you do have those microphones, you set them up and you listen to it in your headphones and you go, wow, I really like that microphone on that voice. And that's why people have their favorite microphone inside their studio for whatever reason. And again, I agree the SM7B is kind of a less bright microphone. Some people say it sounds muddy. again, you can EQ it and you can adjust it for your voice. And something may have been tweaked here on mine. So, okay. Agree the SM7B has less low end than the rest. Beta series has a rich kind of sexy low end. Singers love them. Great comments. Love this. Tim Morrow, good to have you. Keith, late, but viewing you from the beautiful Cairborne Botanic Gardens on the outskirts of southeast Melbourne, Australia. We have a sunny day with lots of school children sound around us. That's great. You could be doing other stuff, but thank you for joining us, Tim. I appreciate it. Tony says, thanks. Have used the World Wireless Go at conferences without any issues? Yeah. Tim, as long as you're in sight line, it should be fine. I just know with wireless microphones, you can get interference. And the 24, let's see, not 24. The 2.4 gigahertz can get interference, so you just got to keep that in mind. I'm not saying they won't work. The Shure microphones really work well. They have good distance, and Curtis Jed even says he likes them. The Pro is a little bit different now that they just came out with. And I think they have a model after the Pro. I have the Shure Wireless Go 2s in my studio, and they can go directly to, and now you hear me through it, they can go directly without a receiver right into my Rodecaster. So it's just nice to be able to put this on and move around the studio. It's going to be brighter. It's further away from my mouth than this. So that's obviously it's going to sound different. Switching back and forth now back on the SM7B. I remember Howard Stern using the SM7B. He made that mic famous. Looked like he uses a Neumann TLM 103 now. Yeah. There's a local guy that used the TLM 103 for a while here in sports radio and then went back to the mic that Tony has. So it just depends on your taste, but that is that Neumann 103 is a great sounding microphone. Bryson Foster, I was telling you about, one of the kids that I had the honor of mentoring when he was younger. Here's his picture again, working in the studio with Lindsay. Let me move this over. This is Bryson right there with Lindsay. He actually used that for his vocals. He probably still does. And he has a production company now, and they do lots of work. And I know that he's still using the TLM 103. He really loves the sound of the Neumann. And he used my Neumann in my studio, the Neumann 887U, I think it is. And he loved the sound of it. So I think he got hooked on that Neumann microphone, and that one is a very expensive microphone, that Neumann. So let me go back to this other setting here. Okay, let's keep going through the chat here. Chris says the processing adds some robotic static towards the end of your speech, noticeably with the headphones. Wonder if it's the Rodecaster processing. No, I don't think it's the Rodecaster processing. It's actually when I have the gate on, and the bad news is when I opened up the effects, it opened up weird on my screen, and the only way I can make it go away is I have to shut down the control software. And I don't think that stops my recording, because you can see I'm recording right here, ISO recording, and I'm on the air. So I can't really adjust it right now, but it's the gate, I believe, that I have on it right now to cut out some static I get from the ATEM Extreme ISOs. I'm not a fan of the preamps in the Extreme ISO. I've shared that before. I would love to eventually see them change out that on a ATEM Extreme ISO, But so I run my Rodecaster Pro 2 audio in to channel 1 inside my ATEM Extreme ISO. And when it gets in there, it gets static, and I have to use the gate to cut it out, or every time I get quiet, you would hear static. So the gate is pinching off the microphone when I get quiet, and it opens up, and you're hearing that difference between quiet, which is dead, and when I'm talking, there's a little bit of static in the background that's actually you can hear. So, okay. RE320 is dynamic. That's what I thought. It's not a condenser microphone. Have you ever used a 4-channel analog over Ethernet extender for smaller deployments instead of an analog snake? Just curious of what the quality is like. An extender, 4-channel analog over Ethernet. I've seen those, but I've never used them, Tony. I do have my 16.8 stage boxes, which is Ethernet from the board going to the stage boxes, and they have preamps built into the stage boxes. They also have phantom power built into the stage boxes, but that's not exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about the ability to extend a 4-channel box to a distance and using Ethernet, and I've not used those. I don't have any experience with that at all, Tony, so I apologize, but I don't. I have a pod mic and an SM57 with a pop filter that goes for it. SM57 sounds pretty dang good, better than the pod mic, in my opinion. Yeah, I have a pod mic too, Grish. I have 4 of them. I had one in the show a few weeks ago, but they're in a box with my old Rodecaster Pro, and I use that for mobile recording. I also have a Rodecaster Pro 2 in a bag, and I demoed the new Call Me feature a few weeks ago as well in the studio, because they did purchase an arrangement with a Call Me plugin. You can update the firmware in your Rodecaster Pro 2. In fact, they came out with another firmware I updated today, so it must have been to handle some bugs. But now they have the Call Me feature for free, a certain amount of hours, and if you want to be able to have 3 guests call in, then you'd have to pay for a subscription to get more than 1 caller. And there is a Rodecaster 2 to Rodecaster 2, Rodecaster Duo to Rodecaster Duo version, and then there's also a web version where I could use my microphone through my computer through a web to another Rodecaster Pro 2, and that's really cool. So thanks for sharing the article. You're welcome. That's in the chat. No problem. Just thought I'd ask. That's in regards to the extender. So it looks like I caught up in the chat. Any questions about recording audio inside or outside? I do want to share a couple more thoughts. I am going to fight this battle over here. Let me put up a still image here. Let's go to Super Source and change box 2 to player. Turn that off. Okay, in this photograph in the studio, you can see I have a rug underneath the drums. Again, that rug's there to keep the drums from moving around. It changes the sound of the drums when you mic it. But I also have a wood floor, and wood, like in a guitar, has its own sound. What do we have open here in the background? What is open there? Weird. So the wood floor has a sound. So that's the wood floor right after we put it in. Here's the wood floor with my rug. And again, that rug would be something we would record on. And that wood warmed up the room. So the other thing that I wanted to say about recording studios is what you put in a recording studio, right? The kind of panels that you use, the kind of insulation that you use in the walls. My walls were 2x6 studs, then a isolation bracket, hat channel hung off of that isolation bracket. I think I can bring up a picture of hat channel with an isolation bracket. Hat channel. So this is one version of it. So that's hat channel, that's an isolation bracket. And so that rubber grommet would go on the 2x4, or if you're using steel studs. So basically there is a barrier between the wood stud or the steel stud. And then the hat channel is what you screw the sheetrock in. So the sheetrock is not touching any 2x4s. So when sound hits the sheetrock, it doesn't vibrate through the 2x4 out the other sheetrock on the other side. And then I had 2 layers of sheetrock. My isolation brackets, let's see if I can find the kind that I used. Yeah, I'm not seeing those, but this is hat channel. A lot of pictures of hat channel, and there's lots of different manufacturers that make ISO brackets, but the goal is to keep the sound from actually getting through the wall. And so in my studio, back to Super Source here, in my studio, you can see what happened? Turn this off. I took 2x6s and then isolation bracket, hat channel, 5/8 sheetrock, green glue, and another layer of 5/8 sheetrock. So those door frames, I had to extend them. So I bought regular indoor, outdoor. I brought a pocket door for the control room, and then there was 3 exterior doors used inside because they were metal and they had thicker insulation in them. And then I could hang sound panels on the insides in the main recording room. And this is obviously my main recording room right here. And so no pictures of the door, but the door that you would close between the hallway and the sliding door in the control room. And again, here's a picture of me, actually Jason and Evan in the control room. So that wall right there is 12 inches thick, and I had 2 pieces of glass. My point is that all of that changes the sound. So that's weird. My TV is off, just noticed, and I have no clue. There's so much junk in here where the controller is. So nothing behind me for the rest of this live stream. That's so weird. I don't normally have the TV go off on me. So, but the wood floor, the isolation of the sheetrock. I mean, if you went up and knocked on the sheetrock in this studio that doesn't have any insulation, I have R30 in the walls. This is an exterior wall right here. Then I have a sound panel in front of the bathroom wall. So that's a 2x4 wall. So I put up extra blown in insulation in that wall. I have blown in insulation in this wall between the outside right there. So half of that wall through the TV is 6 inches. And then I have fiberboard behind the sheetrock on that wall because part of that was my son's bedroom and I didn't want sound coming through there. So I even blew in insulation in that section between my son's room and my room. And then most of the walls in my studio, except for the bathroom wall, are 6-inch walls. So I don't really hear what's happening out there. You can hear a lawnmower. If someone mows the lawn next door, you can hear it in my studio. So all of those decisions that you make inside here and inside my main studio, when I had my main studio, again, that studio, all of those walls were literally 12 inches, with the exception of the wall right behind him. That was 6 inches and outdoor siding on one wall, and then 2 layers of 5/8 sheetrock with green glue between, which is acoustical glue. It's just designed to make sure that the first 5/8 sheetrock doesn't translate through the second 5/8 sheetrock. That green glue is like a rubber buffer in between, and you just squirt that on and then put the 2 pieces of sheetrock together, and then you paint or texture and then paint. So, and then the sound panels were actually designed to cut down certain frequencies. So we could go in there and control the frequency. So you see the double one behind him. I had 2 of those in my studio. That helps kill the sound and dissipate the sound right and left. The 2 corners have bass traps in them. That cuts down the bass frequencies. So when you're recording at an outdoor event, you don't have any of those controls. So when you're out there recording away, and this was actually in a tent canopy, Evan Egger is playing acoustic guitar, and his acoustic guitar was plugged in, and his microphone was run through a sound system. He had a monitor in front of him, and then we had 2 QSC, I think, 12-inch speakers, and you just mix them. The tent doesn't have a lot of sound bouncing around, so the audio outside is different than what you can do inside a studio. So isolating drums and isolating microphones, picking a condenser or a dynamic microphone. Obviously, do I have a condenser near me here somewhere? A condenser compared to a dynamic microphone. These are choices that we have to make when we are recording. Now, if I was doing a real high-end outdoor recording on a stage, I would try to isolate a lot of the sound, and then I might use this microphone. I really love this microphone on acoustic guitar. So just above the hole on the soundboard. It also sounds pretty amazing down below the sound hole, where the bigger part of the wood of the guitar is. And so many times I've used this. I've even used this on the neck and used a different microphone like the Neumann on the bowl of the guitar, just below the bowl, because you don't want to have it right in front of the air hole, because it's an air hole. You want to have it, that's where the sound comes out. You want to have it offset. And the warm wood has a great sound on guitar as well. So choosing a microphone really depends on where you're at, where the location is. And so audio outdoors and audio in a studio have some similarities. They use some of the same microphones, same sound consoles. They use EQ, compression, gating, dynamics, guitar pedals, and all that stuff can be used inside and outside. You can, like I said, you can actually, mic and amp inside a studio. You can see I had a Vox that's famous. The Beatles played the 3030 Vox amp. It's a tube amp. It sounds amazing. So miking that amp to get that amp sound with a Beta 57 really made a difference. So many albums that we recorded that had lead guitar, we had this microphone on that amplifier. I did have a Beta 50 or regular 57 as well. And so this is also great on hi-hat. It's also great on a snare drum on the top or the bottom. And so good on hi-hat. You can also use this microphone on all the toms. So you could have just a kit of these and mic a whole set. And you could actually use 2 of these on overheads, even though you'd have to have them lower because this doesn't pick up a lot distance. The nice thing about having a condenser microphone, it's more sensitive and it has a greater reach. And these pencil condensers, wherever I put them, they have vanished. These pencil condensers are great because they can reach out and grab the whole set, and they're super sensitive. So again, they need phantom power. They are condensers, and that's the PM2 by Personas, and it's not a bad set of microphones. So inside recording and outside recording, you still have a lot of the same choices and decisions to make. So thank you for that super chat, Tony. Appreciate it very much. Sorry that I'm still having issues with the super chats showing through. Let's see if I can adjust that at all here. Anyway, Tony says, great stream, lots of valuable info. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. I don't know why that does not have a background behind it, why it's transparent. It just, when Super Chat pops up, it just does not show. But thank you so much for that, Tony. I will use that. I'm going camping on Thursday. I'll use that to grab coffee. I really, really appreciate that super chat. Again, if you don't know what super chat is, it's literally a feature available in the chat down below. And if you want your question to be answered in the middle of a dissertation, it's a great way to interrupt someone. It's also a great way of saying thank you, but the goal is a super chat puts you on the top of the heap and your question gets answered on the air. So thank you so much, Tony, for that super chat. So, okay. So any questions that you would like to ask me tonight? I love this still image. One of my friends took that photograph with a special lens, and I love it. That's me running sound. I don't remember if that was last year or this year. I think that was this year because I have the keys around my neck, and I don't think I was wearing the keys around my neck last year. That's my trailer keys. But that's my 32SC live at a tent event. This tent is like 66 deep by 90 to 107 long, depending on how many poles. That one there, I think, is a 3-pole tent. So pretty crazy. But lots of fun running sound outside. I'm officially not volunteering anymore. There's a tent meeting next week, and then there's one 2 weeks after that. Then there's one in October. And I really am focusing in on my channel and Dominic's channel. Gonna spend some extra time and energy building up this channel, doing a lot more videos this year. I've volunteered so many hours that I've asked my friend to kind of run without me, even though I'm still helping him. I'll loan him my Beta 57. He's going to have my pencil condensers. He's going to have my Shure mic for drums. We ordered some new mic stands that'll be here tomorrow from Portland. So he's had to add some gear to make up for some of my stuff. Shannon and I are going to be camping, and then next week we're flying to Tennessee, which is going to be a lot of fun. Somewhere I have an Audix mic. I haven't found it in a while, but I have a buddy of mine that loaned me one of these, and it sounds great on toms and on snare, but it is missing. But I have the bag to prove that I own an Audix mic. So if you are doing interviews, you can use a shotgun microphone using a blimp like this one from Rode. There's a couple of manufacturers that make things like this, but nice. You can handheld this if you wanted to, if you're just in an interview, or you can screw in a boom pole. I forgot to bring the boom pole in, but that will reach out 20 feet if you wanted to, depending on what length a boom pole you want to purchase. So, okay. Thank you. I will do my absolute best. Shannon is actually a midwife, and so occasionally she gets off call. So we threw that camping trip together this week. I'm going to be able to hang out with two young couple I absolutely love. They're great. So they are holding a camping trip. I was looking for a place to camp, and all of a sudden I got a text on my porch on Sunday afternoon. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to be camping. Would you like to join me?" And I said, "Yeah, we were looking for a campground." And so actually the spot right next to them. So we're going to be able to hang out with Brian and Iris and their family. And so Shannon's off call for 3 straight weeks. We knew she was going to be off call next week, but we weren't sure about this week. And this lady had her baby early. And so that means that Shannon's off for 3 straight weeks. So we have a camping trip, then a flight, and then another camping trip. So we're actually going to have 3 weeks away, which we haven't done in our whole entire marriage. So this will be the first time. We do have to come back, work a couple days, and then go again. So at least 2 of those Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Shannon and I both will be here working, and I'll be live. But one of those I for sure will not be on the air, and I'll let you guys know next week. So, okay. So in the studio, in case you didn't know, I am using the Rodecaster Pro 2. That's my audio interface. This is my primary mic, and then I can switch to the Rode Go 2 as my secondary microphone and get up and walk around the room and push the boom mic out of my way like this and not have to have anything in front of me, which is great when I'm doing things on my desk or I'm doing a consult with someone. Which reminds me, if you are listening to this video and you ever need help, I do a free 1-hour consult. Well, seriously, I'll donate 1 hour of free Zoom call to maybe help you with your Rodecaster Pro 2 or help you with microphone choices. Maybe your ATEM Mini Pro has got you confused, or you want to know, should I get an extreme ISO or a regular extreme? Should I buy an ISO? You don't know how to use a HyperDeck, which is a video playback and a device that's used for playing animated graphics, even though I own 2 HyperDecks and you rarely ever see me show any animated graphics because this is really all I need. But I do train on those devices. I know how to insulate, do soundproofing. So if you ever want to take advantage of that 1 hour free, you can do that. I also have a number of consulting programs. I even do local installs. I've done installs for churches. I've done installs in private studios. I've been to Las Vegas and helped Jason do some work in his studio. I went to Uma's studio around the corner. I've been to a church in Kennewick, a church in Snohomish, a church in Spokane. I'm working with 2 pastors right now here in the local area. Both of them are friends of mine that I've known now. One of them I've known since I sold RVs, and the other one I've met in the last 3 years. And I've been doing some sound training for him. I'm training 2 sound techs, and they will be running sound with another real pro guy coming in from out of town in a week. They'll get their hands on in a big tent event, which will be great. So if you need to take advantage of that 1 hour, that's great. If you need more than 1 hour, I'll be happy when we get on Zoom to explain to you how that consulting program works. That's my commercial. So let's check in on one little guest here tonight that I talked about here. Let's see if he's still here. Oh, he is still here. It's Obiwan-Kenobi. And you can see it's a little transparent because I need to turn the key off. and switch to that channel. The Obi-Wan is here. And this is a Hot Toys figure I talked about at the very beginning. I know this channel is not about collectibles, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Hot Toys. They make these incredible characters. They're about 9 to 6 or so inches tall. This one is on my turntable. I can make him spin. I'll do that right now. So he comes with a robe. You can put these rocks up or not put the rocks up. So just really cool figures. And again, I'm not getting paid. This is not sponsored by Hot Toys. I just thought you could see how cool these are. So if you're into Star Trek or you're into anything like that, these retail from anywhere from $350 and up. Sometimes they have them on sale for even less. I do lots of collectibles. Let me just take you to this page right here. So Hot Toys, there is a sideshow company here in the United States that distributes for them. And you can see here is the Jack Sparrow that I have. Here is the Obi-Wan that I have. We also have Miles Morales. I mean, I can't afford to buy more than maybe 2 or 3 of these a year. We really are wanting to add the damaged Darth Vader, but they have sales all the time. They do other things as well. They have figures by DC Comics. They have the new Fantastic Four figures. So they've done these characters as well. And the likenesses are pretty stinking incredible. So if you are wondering about Obi-Wan, he is a Hot Toys figure. 1/6 scale is what they're called. And he is the collector's edition, and that's why you have the cool rocks and you pay more for that. But that Obi-Wan figure is actually on sale right now. I had to be on a waiting list. I don't know if a bunch of people bailed on their purchases, but Obi-Wan is on sale right now. Actually, I think I have the special edition. Ugh. Let me get the box right here. 1/6 scale collector's figure. This is DX26. And I can't remember, but even their box art is incredible. This isn't that incredible. In fact, this is a earlier face sculpt. They changed the face sculpt. But when you get inside their boxes, I mean, the artwork is pretty stinking incredible. And even when you pull the figure out, the board on top of it is another really great. And you can see that's the battle damaged Darth Vader. And they do fight in the series. And so pretty incredible. Even their packaging is amazing, and you want to save the boxes. I don't want to damage my box here, because if you ever sell these, a damaged box will cost you money. So you want to try to keep it as quality as you can. But anyway, this is a DX figure, which is kind of their collector's figures. They have a DX line, they have regular line. And typically you're going to pay more for that. Yeah. So that's Hot Toys. Just wanted to talk about that a little bit tonight and just let you guys know that Dominic and I are collecting those. And again, if you want to know more about that and see us unbox those, we are going to have some videos up here, hopefully in October on our channel. You'll see Dominic age right in front of your eyes because we've been recording videos for over 2 years now, and we're going to edit all those videos and post them. We didn't want to launch our channel until we had some figures. So again, that's going to be a lot of fun doing that with my grandson. So let me fix this back to chat only. And let's wrap up. You're welcome. Thank you. I would love to take you up on that. Yeah, so the way to do that is, I'll put this link in the chat. This is my contact page. I am going to be gone a lot in the next couple weeks, so keep that in mind. But this is the link. Just fill out the form, request a free Zoom consult, and I will respond to that tonight. I will be available tomorrow. I could do a free Zoom consult with you tomorrow, and then I'm leaving to go on my little vacation on Thursday, and then we'll have a little bit of time next week. So go ahead and fill out that form, and it will be great to meet you face to face. I have a custom Horsey Henry Garbage Pail Kids statue by El Vomito. Can't wait to get it. Wow, that's really cool. So if you get that between now and then, yeah, while you're in Tennessee, stop by. It's hilarious. Cool. So that'll be a lot of fun. It'll be good to meet you face to face. Again, that 1 hour is free. It's my way of giving back to the YouTube community, and the fact that you are watching me is pretty incredible. So it's my chance to help you get acquainted, put faces with the chat, and that's a lot of fun for me. I also do a quarterly Zoom gathering. It's not live. It's live, but it's not on social media. So if you ever like to join that, make sure you also put that in the comments that you would like to be invited to one of those Zoom town halls. And that's when I invite everybody from my live stream, if they want to be face to face with each other. You can give us a tour of your studio if you have one. If you have a hobby like I do with 1/6 scale figures, you could share that. It's just our chance to get acquainted to you, as well as other people on the channel get a chance to get acquainted with you. I do that 4 times a year. It costs you nothing. And anybody can come, preferably people that are from the live stream, the channel. And hopefully you'll subscribe to the channel, like some videos. And again, there's lots of videos here. Videos on the Hyperdeck, a whole series. Videos on the ATEM Extreme. Videos on the ATEM Mini Pro. Videos on lots of things where I actually spend hours teaching how to use things, answering questions, and then a plethora of live streams on some of the same topics. But if you want more of a traditional education, then go to my uploaded videos. But a warning, some of those are long. Some of those have multiple videos with them, their whole playlist. So check that out. So you are very welcome. So now, K9 Striker, did you give us your name tonight anywhere in the chat? This will show you how good my short-term memory is. K9 Striker. I'm just cruising back. Sean is my name. Cool. So, Sean, I look forward to meeting you. Thank you for joining me. I did find Sean up there earlier. And again, it goes both ways. Thanks for enjoying 2-hour show tonight. I hope you guys learned something. I do like to talk audio and recording and video production. But a lot of my channel has been about ATEM Mini Pros and Rodecaster Pro 2s and live streaming tech and new technology. And those are fun videos. In fact, one of my best ever videos here live was just a few weeks ago when we talked about the new PreSonus boards, the 16, the 24, and the 32 SE consoles. They've updated the 16 and the 24 specifically. That's a 24 older version that I've been using on Sunday nights, though I'm done doing that. I've trained two guys. They did sound by themselves Sunday night. They did call me twice because they were having trouble hooking up some monitors, but we were able to walk them through on the phone. So they're running that 24/4 board, which is over 15 years old now by PreSonus, and now they have an updated 16 and updated 24, and then a revamped 32 bigger console, bigger than mine. Mine is a single rack, well, not a single rack, but it's the narrow board, and they have the bigger 32 channel board. So I had those still images up earlier. PreSonus Studio Live 3 SE. Close with this. That's a new console. It's $3,400. That's a console I want. So I may be selling my 32 SC and purchasing this console eventually. We'll see. But I'd like to have the extra faders for faster live production. So we'll see if I continue down this live production road. But they make a 24 console and a 32 as well. Here is the 16 and 24 side by side. Here's what the 16 looks like. It's $2,000, and then the 24 is $3,000. And again, 24 channels with the extra faders and mute groups, better LCD screen. And you can do that firmware update on your 32 SC just like I was working on today, but for some reason I can't get the firmware to update, so I've got to open up a ticket when I get back from my vacation and see if we can't find out why I can't update my Studio Live 32 SC console. I keep getting a no firmware update available. I tried to do the manual and it wouldn't work as well. So we'll talk about that more in the future. I've been bringing your content, Tom's, Aaron's, and Joseph's. Cool. Those are all great guys. And I love their content. Spent many hours watching Tom Buck and Aaron Parecki and Photo Joseph. So great content. There's some other great guys out there as well. So maybe we'll have a whole live stream about my favorite guys out there. Check out Gerald Undone. I love his humor. I love his channel. And there's some other guys as well out there that are more than worthy to be listened to. Well, that's it. I'm going to go eat some dinner. I'm going to get ready to leave on my vacation. I have my last therapy paid for by my insurance session tomorrow. Those of you that know, I had major ankle surgery with plates and pins and screws. So my last therapy session is tomorrow at 9 a.m. And then I'm picking up my grandson, and we are going to go have breakfast together tomorrow. He just doesn't know it yet. And we're going to talk about Obi-Wan. So anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Tony, for that super chat. Thank you, Sean, for deciding you want to take advantage of that consult. That should be a lot of fun. Cool. I'll get that alert on my phone. So thank you for filling out that form. And again, check out the videos here on the channel. Please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. And if you want to know more about the 32 SC consoles, I did a video a few weeks ago on that. You can go back and check that out. If you want to know more about the call me function, that was 2 weeks ago, the last time I was live. I actually called one roadcaster, called the other roadcaster, and I think that's an incredible feature. I'm super excited about ways that I might be able to use that with some of my friends that have Rodecaster Pros calling in why we're live. So we'll see if we decide to do that going forward in the future. I think even Adam Tao would be able to use his Rodecaster to call me with the call me function. So I'll have to text him and ask him if he's updated the firmware on his Rodecaster. So that's it for me. Have a great night. Until next time, I am Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Have a great evening. Until then, be safe.